y'all, welcome to Restless Chipotle Kitchen. Now last week we did my very favorite all butter pie crust. And I promised you that this week we would do one of my family's favorites, pecan pie. Let's get started. You're going to need a 9-inch pie crust, unbaked. You can get one from the refrigerated section at the store, or I have the instructions for 2 butter crust pie crusts done 2 different ways here on YouTube and on my blog. You want to put this in the refrigerator until you're ready to fill it. Next, you're going to need Karo syrup or whatever kind of corn syrup that you normally use. Some people like dark corn syrup for pecan pie, but I do not. I like the light corn syrup. And the reason that I still have it in the bottle is I'm going to show you a trick for measuring it. You're going to need 3 tablespoons of butter, which we're going to melt, 1.5 cups of pecans, 1/4 cup of brown sugar, 3/4 cup of white sugar, a teaspoon of vanilla, some salt, and 3 eggs. That is it. It's really, pecan pie is a lot easier to make than most people think it is. Okay? The first thing that we're going to do is, I like to have pecans all the way through the pie. I don't like to just have pecan halves on the top or some chopped pecans here and there. So I take a 1/2 cup of pecans and chop them very fine. I take a 1/2 cup of pecans and I chop them coarsely. And then I leave a 1/2 cup of the pecans, I leave them in halves, okay? So the first thing is the chopped. So we're going to take a 1/2 cup, put it on the board, and I'm going to give them a good chop to make sure that they are cut very small. You can do this with a food processor too, but don't turn it to dust. You don't want pecan dust here. You just want them chopped really small. All right, that's all. And when I say small, I'm talking about like this. Can you see that? All right, so we're going to put those to one side. And now I'm going to take a 1/2 cup of pecans and I'm going to chop them coarsely. And by coarsely, I just mean like I'm going to cut them in halves and fourths and leave it at that. They're going to be bigger than these. So what happens while the pecan pie bakes, the pecans filter all the way through and they fill up the holes, so you don't have big areas without pecans. You'll see what I mean. It's absolutely delicious. I came up with this idea myself about 30 years ago, a long time, because I just really wasn't happy with the way that my pecan pie was cutting, and with the, when somebody took a bite, there wasn't an even amount of pecans in there. So I started doing this, and this has worked beautifully. Everybody loves it. It's great. All right. So you can see that these are bigger than these. These are like chunky. These are small. Now, if you don't want to do all of this, even though it doesn't take very much time at all, you can coarsely chop all the pecans, or some people leave them in halves. I don't really like it that way because I think it makes it hard to cut, but you can do it. All right. And now I think the rest of the pecans are halves, and we have those. We're going to set the pecans aside for right now. The first thing I need to do is measure out 1 cup of corn syrup. What I like to do is take no stick cooking spray and spray the inside of my measuring cup. Whenever I'm doing some kind of syrup, honey, corn syrup, molasses, anything that's sticky like that, you want to do this way. And that way it comes right out, so easy. So we're going to pour the corn syrup right in there. 1 full cup. See how easy that comes out? I mean, it's clear, so it might be hard to see, but it comes right out. There's none that stays in there and sticks. You might need to just scrape it out a little bit with a spoon, but it all comes out. And once you get ready, once you know how to do it that way, you will be surprised at how easy it becomes to measure out syrups and sticky stuff. All right, I'm going to take my eggs and crack them into the bowl. And I should have put these in the bigger bowl, but I didn't. So we're going to mix the eggs up really well. You want the yolks and the whites to be completely blended, but you don't want to mix a lot of air in there. Stop and look and see if there's any streaks of egg white. I don't see any. Just a little bit more. Okay, that's all blended up. Then we're going to put the melted butter, and you want to cool this a little bit before you put it in the eggs. You do not want to put hot butter into eggs, or you're going to have scrambled eggs in your pie. So this has been melted and cooled off, and I'm going to just whisk that in there. And then I'm going to add my corn syrup, but I did it backwards, so I'm going to actually add my eggs to my corn syrup, which is going to be harder than if I was adding corn syrup to my eggs. When you do it, add the corn syrup to your eggs. I highly suggest it. All right. Put that down. Pecan pie has a bad reputation because it sometimes, if you don't have a lot of experience with it, it can be hard to figure out if it's done or not. And I have a trick for that too, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But it's really one of the easiest pies you can make, and it goes together really, really fast. Okay, once we have the eggs and the corn syrup, we just add the white sugar, and mine, I don't know, I guess it's been damp around here or something, but my sugar is all kind of lumpy. Just break up the lumps if yours is like that, or you could sift it. I didn't want to take the time to do that. So you're going to add the sugar and the brown sugar, you're going to add the vanilla, and you're going to add a pinch of salt. The salt just kind of helps balance out the sweet. You're going to stir that right up and break up any lumps, because you don't want a big chunk of brown sugar, in your pie. You want somebody to bite into nothing but brown sugar. This is all you have to do. You don't have to do this in any special order, just to stir in the pecans. And you probably don't want to use the whisk to do that. You probably want to use a big spoon. Just make sure all the pecans are mixed in there and covered with the filling, the egg mixture. Okay, I've got my chilled pie crust, and I'm going to pour the pecan pie filling right into the pie crust. And now I'm going to use a spoon to kind of stir those pecans around a little bit. And set the bowl aside. Now, this pecan pie is ready to go in the oven. It goes in at 350 for an hour. Sometimes it'll need to bake maybe 5 more minutes. The pie is still going to be jiggly when it's done. But the secret to knowing whether it's done or not is to use your instant read thermometer that you use for chicken and all of that. use your Insta-Read thermometer that you use for chicken and all of that, and you're going to put the probe right in the center of the pie. And when it's done, it's going to read, let me make sure I'm right, between 185 and 200 degrees Fahrenheit. Once the pie hits 185 to 200 degrees, it is done. Take it out of the oven, even if it's jiggly, because you're going to let it cool overnight and it's going to firm up, okay? So the oven is heating and our pie is ready to go in, and I will see y'all back here in an hour. Okay, I just pulled the pecan pie out of the oven, and I'm going to check it and make sure that it's at least 185 degrees in the center. Remember, with an instant read thermometer. And we've got 200 degrees. So you want it to be between 185 and 200 degrees. That's just perfect. And this one is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let it come to room temperature and then put it in the fridge overnight and not cut it until tomorrow. And you will see this is the most amazing pecan pie you ever saw in your life. I'll see you then. Good morning, y'all. This pie has been chilled overnight because to me it just cuts better that way and it gives it a chance to set. If you go ahead and cut it like within the first hour or two especially, it's just going to be all over the plate. So this is how I like to do it. Make the pie the day before, refrigerate it overnight, and then honestly I will warm it up just about 30 to 40 seconds in the microwave just to bring it to room temperature, or let it come to room temperature. You can let this set out for a little bit. So let's cut into it and see how it looks. Look at that. Oh, so good. Y'all, look at this pie. It's so good, and the inside holds together. It's gooey. There's lots of pecans in there. It's just yummy. I don't know what else I can say about this pie. I hope y'all are going to try it. Be sure to do the butter crust that's in the last video, and then this pecan pie, your Thanksgiving dessert will be a hit. Everybody's going to ask you for the recipe, okay? All right. I love this pie. Leave a comment below, give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, come back next week, and we'll be making something else yummy. Love y'all. Bye-bye.